What's up, you guys? Welcome back to this week's Manga Sutra Manga review, and in this week's video we're going to be talking about a mystery horror drama called Noah of the Blood Sea. Now, the manga really hits the ground running when it starts off with three men sitting at a table in which they are presenting a young girl wearing a kimono for dinner. They proceed to cut off and consume pieces of this young girl, and when she asks why they are doing this and who they are, they proceed to stab her and collect her blood in wine glasses in which they begin to drink. However, we also get another view of the room in which we see a young girl playing near a swimming pool filled with blood, floating a paper boat in it. We then get a transition in which we are introduced to the main characters. We have Akari, her little brother Yuzuru, and her father on a cruise ship. And we see Akari's father giving Yuzuru hush money and tells him to go have fun. Now, why you would give a little boy a big amount of money and have him go about this ship filled with strangers, unchaperoned, is beyond me. It's beyond me. You know, wherever your parenting methods are, that's you. Akari, she's taking in the view, she's taking in the experience, and she wishes that her mother was there to share the experience with them, in which her dad agrees that this is a once-in-a-lifetime type of experience. And we also get introduced to another main character, Kakeru, who introduces himself to Akari and notes that Akari, Yuzuru, and her father are the only few other Japanese passengers on the cruise ship, while the rest are mainly foreigners from other countries. Now, it's always interesting to me to see in these mangas how they portray foreigners, because in some mangas, Americans, Europeans, Africans, they all have these very, very, very stereotypical characteristics and traits. But I think Noah of the Blood Sea pulls it off in a way that it's not, grossly stupid, basically. Now, Akari's dad sees Kakeru talking to Akari. He's none too pleased about Kakeru. He makes it pretty clear he does not like him. And he announces to Akari that Yuzuru is missing. When Kakeru offers to help look for Yuzuru, Akari's dad refuses, and Kakeru, he takes it in stride. He tells Akari that he'll see her later on the cruise ship. And when Akari goes with her father to look for Yuzuru, her father goes into a members only area. Now, instead of, like Akari suggested to him, talking to the staff, having them send out a missing child report or announcement, he decides it's best to go into the members only area because, hey, why not? So we see this long corridor filled with these black curtains, and behind these black curtains are these sealed doors and these windows. Now we see Akari's father go behind one of the curtains and peer into one of the door's windows, and he is shocked by what he sees. However, we do not get a description of what he sees that is so shocking to him, because one of the cruise staff members alerts them they are in a members only area and escorts them back to the main area of the cruise ship, in which we see that Yuzuru is perfectly fine. Apparently he's actually just kicking it with a lot of attractive women who seem to be enjoying his company, and a blonde-haired woman of the group offers Yuzuru another chance to see her later on so they can play. Now, Akari's father is salty about Yuzuru getting all this attention from these three attractive women, and he offers himself instead of Yuzuru. And we also see that Yuzuru is a G. He's basically telling all these attractive women, I can't hang out with you unless my father approves. And of course, Akari's father does not approve. And he's saying if anyone's going to be coming, it's going to be her in my room. And, by the time he makes that statement, they're already walking away. And we do hear discussion between the three women. The blonde-haired woman was really looking forward to hanging out with Yuzuru again. The other two called her a pervert and a pedo. And she tells him to kind of just shut up. Now, while all that's going on, we see Kakeru spot somebody that he thinks is Yuzuru. And he follows this young child throughout the ship until they get outside, and he discovers that it's not a young boy, it's not Yuzuru, but it's a young girl. And she said the name Michiru. Now, this young girl appears to be the same girl that we see at the beginning of the manga in the room in front of the swimming pool filled with blood, floating the paper boat. Now, we also get back to Yuzuru, Akari, and her father, in which Akari is putting her brother to bed, and she spots these 4 marks or holes in his side of his neck. Now, to me, Noah of the Blood Sea has an interesting premise going on. It's either that these members, they're either cannibals or they are vampires. And I just like the whole concept of this cruise ship filled with these vampires, and the rest of these non-members are basically just cattle. These non-members, they're unaware of the fact that the cruise ship isn't really meant for them. The cruise ship really isn't meant as a luxury vacation for them. They are the lambs to the slaughter. They are being basically fattened up and wined and dined to feed these members. But, you know, there's still a lot of mysteries going on. But if they are vampires, I certainly like the way they are portrayed. It's not, you know, these big fangs coming down so far and these glowing eyes and, you know, these monstrous appearances. And, you know, maybe as the manga progresses, we're going to see if they are vampires or if they're cannibals, but the bite marks definitely point to vampires. The swimming pool filled with blood definitely points to vampires. Heck, the title is called Noah of the Blood Sea. So, I mean, they were even drinking the young girl's blood at the beginning of the manga. I don't know what to tell you. It sounds like they're just a bunch of vampires. And the ship is basically just a huge trap. It's just a huge, all-you-can-eat buffet of these foreigners and these tourists and all these other people looking for a vacation, but it's really just going to be their last cruise in the world. Now, I would like to see more about this young girl. I'm just going to assume her name is Michiru because that's the name that she said. I would like to see more about Michiru. I would also like to see what exactly happened in one of those doors. Now, while the manga started off with these 3 men eating this young woman, we don't know if that's, you know, the modus operandi of all members of the ship, or if they're into torture, or if it's some type of hostile situation where you pay to do X, Y, and Z to this person, and, you know, you get your own room. Who knows? Who knows? But art style wise, I love how some of the details for the character designs is very simplistic, like the hairstyle, but it gets more complex for the facial features. And in some panels, we have this good attention to detail, such as Yuzuru's neck and the young girl when Kakeru encounters her, and the 3 young women. But in other scenes, we have a lot of traits or physical features that are very simplified. And I think, you know, this alteration between simplified and heavily detailed, it's a very good transition. And the art style itself, it stands out from a lot of other horror mangas, and it's not exactly basic. The plot, it's an interesting premise. It could either be cannibals on a ship or vampires on a ship, and it's leaning heavily towards vampires. And like I said, vampires on a ship, it's a very interesting concept. I would like to see exactly what type of traits these members possess, and if they are vampires, exactly, you know, what are their vampiric capabilities. Is it like happiness in a sense where, you know, these vampires look exactly like humans? They don't have any fangs. They're just super powered inhuman monsters that just consume blood and flesh. I mean, who knows? This is VM. What do you think about Noah of the Blood Sea? Do you think that it's going to turn out to be a really good manga like Happiness and I Am a Hero and all these other horror mangas? Or do you think it's going to be a flop? Which one? Like, comment, share, subscribe. What are some other mangas that you would like me to read and talk about? Bye.